Hello everyone, welcome to a radical tutorial guide here at Road Atlanta. Does it have another name? I don't think it has another name. I think it's just Road Atlanta. Oh no, it's Motul Petit Le Mans. It's WeatherTech that has the new name. Sorry, Laguna Seca. But yes, we're at Road Atlanta and we're gonna have fun with Radical, and then I'll show you how to run a lap around here, and little tips and tricks of the course. Alright, so let's begin the lap around Road Atlanta. Coming to T1. The setup to T1 is very important. You have a runoff area leading to the left side of the pit lane that has no grass. The technique is to run 2 tires on the grass and then to brake at the tarmac. There's no need to do it if you don't want to do it. But if you're looking to open up the corner, it certainly does help to have more width on entry approaching the corner. And that's what people, at least on the sim, do a lot. If you look at Petit Le Mans 10 hours on YouTube, you go back and check the replay, you'll see from the top split, everyone's doing this. Then you brake at the tarmac patch. It's very important to not turn in too early because the compression mid-corner will make you understeer. That's why it's super important to carry as much rotation as possible. Rotate the car throughout the entry of the corner. You're also kind of exaggerating the rotation. And it'll feel weird at first, but the feeling should be that the moment you load the power, you're still carrying rotation. You shouldn't be understeering. That's why in this corner you'll see that you'll oftentimes load the power very, very aggressively. Not a sudden 0 to 100. Well, yeah, more or less of a sudden 0 to 100. But the important thing is, if you're holding the throttle because you're understeering, you messed up the corner. So you can still roll on power progressively, but you'll see that there's so much grip and you're such low RPMs at such high speed that the important thing is not understeer. And then up to T3. So now the setup to T3 is very, very crucial. There's no need to kill your tires in that braking zone because there's no straight line. It's all cornering. So you'll even do some lifting work as you get up the crest. Here I'm lifting up the crest, and the moment the crest starts to flatten out, this is when I start rolling on the brakes. I aim for the curb on the left side to open up the corner, and then this is where, when my wheel is straight, I'll play it slow motion right here. When my wheel is straight is where I have the most braking, and the moment I start turning in, I reduce the braking. So your braking will go hand in hand with your steering wheel. If you have a lot of steering wheel, you have little braking. At the moment you start opening your wheel to go right, as you approach center is your max force, and then when you turn in and trail brake, that's where you're coming off again. So I'll play in slow motion. So the lift for the crest, to settle the car, slow roll on the brakes, hardest when the steering wheel is straight, and then turn in and trail brake. The trade-off with that curb is, number one, you should be loading up the power right before the curb. Because if you don't and you throttle after the curb, it's throttling way past apex, and also you might find some curb instability. But number two, sorry, this is where the trade-off is. If you don't take enough curb, you will only hit the right side of the car in a weird way. If let's say this is the whole car, you'll only hit this part, so it'll only do this. So when it'll come back, it'll just bounce around. Even when you hit it, it's going to push you away a little bit. And if you eat too much, you jump all fours, you get an off track, or in extreme conditions, you get a slow down. So you got to find the right distance to jump the curb. Your left side tire is on the yellow line. It's right about where it should be. So that you see when it lands here, it just lands flat. So when it jumps it, I'm still rotating. I'll play it again in slow motion. When I jump, still rotating. When I land flat to the ground. There's going to be a little bit of a shake because obviously you are going to be in the air for a short moment of time. But that's the key to T3 is how you tackle the bump. So don't be scared to even overslow the corner to jump it right. As long as you load the throttle, sorry, before T3, you're fine. Now, you're in fourth gear, okay? You're about to take T4. Is that T4? Because down there there's T5, but there's like 6 corners in between. So we're about to take this left-hand corner. The important thing is, number one, if you ride the curb, you will oversteer. I've tested it many times. Number two is you can't really take it flat, but you can. Short shift in fifth, just to keep the boost up and to not lift. So I'm gonna play it with sound. And this is right where about I shift in fifth. So I start lifting because I feel the understeer. And instead of fully committing to a lift, I shift in fifth to see what the car will do. And right about here, it grips again. And this is where about I'm just playing with the oversteer and going full power. Okay? And I'm in fifth, low RPMs. It also helps for this corner, because this corner gets really sketchy if you're carrying too much speed down there. So fifth, low RPMs will save your tires a lot. Especially this bump right here. It's small techniques, but this bump, you don't want to hit it on the yellow. You want to hit it on the blue right after it. And the reason is, if you hit it too early, it will impact your tires and it will overheat them. So you don't want to hit it too early. Same thing for this bump. You want to avoid the right side. So you want to avoid the blue and yellow because it's really high. And you just want to settle the car onto the curb. So breaking into T5 also, the same thing as T3. Notice this. I'm getting off the throttle to stabilize the car, and I'm smoothly rolling on the brakes because my steering wheel is turned. Okay. Now I'm onto the brakes. Car lands. Careful with how much braking you have when the car is about to land. You'll start trail braking before you even get off the curb. T5 is not a deep braking zone. It's not a brake. It's not the deeper you brake, the faster you go. Not at all. It's the more balanced the car, the more speed you're capable of rolling, and the best your trail braking is in terms of too much rotation versus not enough rotation. That's the key to T5. Rolling into T5, don't touch the curb. That car doesn't like it. If you're touching the curb and it works, it's because you're not going fast enough. I'll play full time. And be patient when you're rolling power because look, there's a compression here. So if you're rolling power too early, you'll shoot on understeer. And right here it starts to be unloaded. Okay. Also, when you reach that exit curb, don't force the car. Trust the car because that exit curb is banked. Okay. Don't try to pull the car left even more because you'll just oversteer away on those bumps right here. Okay. And you have a lot of runoff right here, so you can actually cut back left and just miss the grass. So that's the technique to exit. Now leading on to T6. Braking on about the first white line. Okay, a bit before. The goal with T6 is just to be patient on throttle, to not oversteer before the corner. Because as we've seen before, if you oversteer on a banked corner, the moment you gain compression, you'll just start understeering. And if you understeer on throttle, this is a corner where you'll scrub your fronts a lot. So just be patient with your throttle. Be easy with your steering. This car has a lot of rotational throttle. See, even here, like I'm getting off the corner, I'm just understeering, and into T7. The moment you touch the curbs, you're on the brakes. If anything, even before. If you're waiting for the car to be aligned and then to touch the brakes, that's way too late. So the moment you're about to touch the curb, that's when you start rolling on the brakes, depending on how much speed you carried in T6, but ideally that's what happens. And also, you can't brake as hard as you would want to here because your car is leaning. And then you might wonder, well, why is my car leaning? I don't care, I can just stay on the tarmac. You're losing a lot of speed from not opening up your corner because it's not a deep braking zone. And the time gain from being half a car width wider is huge. So right the curb, then turn in, trail brake. You should target the end of that curb here. Whether or not you want to take the curb, I haven't really tested it out because I haven't really felt much of a difference between a little bit of curb and this. This is much more stable for me because when I roll out on exit, I can just commit to power. I don't have to play with the curb when the car lands. Third gear, not second, because you want to be as low RPMs as possible. This will save your tires, and there's no time gain or time loss, especially if you have to downshift in second here. Your rear will just spin around, and the car's carrying enough speed to roll in third. Use all the exit, obviously, but don't touch this part right here because it will slow you down. The dirt and the grass, right about here. Then the straight, okay, into 10A, 10B. So you want to be as right side as possible in 9. That's a corner. And 10A, 10B, a little bit like Coda. It's a compression braking zone. So you will reach a lot of braking pressure. But then the moment you turn in, you might get surprised because your turning point, which is right here, is your unloading point. That's when it flattens out. So I'll play full time and you see how abruptly I get off the brakes. Okay. So complete your braking in a straight line, but don't forget that you don't have the car loaded to the ground when you're about to turn in. You just gotta have the car regular, flat. And also use the curb on the right side if you can. It's a tough technique because you need to angle your car in the braking zone. See here, I point my car in diagonal to go to the curb. I'm not quite perfect. Here it's like looking at the end of the curb. I should be a bit earlier. And then as my car is rolling the curb, that's when I turn in. So it demands you looking at the corner before you even reach the curb. You shouldn't be looking at the curb and then looking at the corner the moment you turn in because you'll just completely miss the corner. Then when I get into 10A, there is a crest as I'm turning in. It will rotate my car into the corner, and you should load the power before 10A. Because 10B is a bit more open than 10A. So your apex of the whole chicane, if you were to choose one apex, is 10A. And from 10A, you're loading the power to get out 10B. You can really use up this curb. Just be careful. There is a 1x. I believe it's half the car. Something for you to test out. Half the car past the curb. I'd have to double check. But you got to use as much curb as possible here because you want to be as left side as possible here. And feel free to let go of the throttle just a little bit to not understeer away. Because again, in a compression zone, if you're understeering at the beginning, you'll understeer forever. And your goal is to be able to roll the power and commit to full power on exit of 10B all the way till the edge of the grass right here. I have a little bit of space left. And the last corner, pretty easy, but I got a few tips for that because the tires are still working. So as you get out of 10B right here, okay. Oh, also, sorry, 10B, don't use too much of the second curb. There's a big dent right about here. If you hit it too aggressively, your car's not gonna like it. So just be careful with that. Okay, on top of the bridge, if you look at my steering wheel, I'm working the wheel a lot. Be careful with those bumps. Don't ask for the car to turn right too much. Okay, trust the car to stabilize right about here, and then you can make the decision you want wherever you want to place the car. I line the car to point right here, and then I start stopping rotation right about here, because I know that the car starts to oversteer just a little bit, and then I can turn again right about here when it's more stable. And also for T11, in most cars you can run like the middle seam. Like GT3s, you can run here to here. Most often, it's better to run here. Those cars, I'd recommend, unless you're on a quali lap, run the second seam and just send it. Granted, you're staying on track. But if you're in a race and you want to save your tires, run the curb, run the yellow line, go wide, because this corner uses up the tires. So you want to open it up. You don't need to open up too much. See here, look, for example, I opened it up, feels comfortable. I don't need to use the exit curb. It's still, I'm still setting it up because I don't want to overuse my tires. And then your car start finish. As you can tell, as your car start finish, it's right on exit of the corner. So if you're qualifying, you can turn in a bit. You can stay more inside here to get a little bit of time. Just be careful because you're gonna come out right to the curb, and you don't want to get the 1x before you cross the line. That was a lap around Road Atlanta. And if anyone has any questions, please DM us, comments on YouTube, BIS Discord, Advanced Motorsports Discord, IG page, and more. Good luck to everyone.